When Rivian made its NASDAQ debut in November, it ignited a frenzy.
It's not often that you see a $100 billion company born right before your eyes. But that's exactly what happened today with the infant that is Rivian.
And this company that many people haven't heard of, which has only made a few hundred trucks, is now worth more than Ford or General Motors.
This is a very prudent company. They've taken their time, and by all accounts, what I'm hearing is they're ready.
And when the closing bell rang on that first day of trading, the electric car maker was not only $12 billion richer, but it had set a record for the largest initial public offering in the United States this year, and became the largest IPO for any American company since Facebook went public in 2012. Rivian's blockbuster debut also marked another milestone for the stock market. Its IPO pushed the total exit value of US public listings above the $1 trillion level for the first time ever. 2021 has no doubt been the year of the IPO. Roughly 1,000 initial public offerings are expected to hit the market by the end of the year, and there are no signs of slowing. For investors, IPO stocks can potentially provide great opportunities to snag shares in some of the market's best companies in their early stages of growth. But their volatile nature often translates to a feast or famine scenario, so placing profitable bets requires laser-like precision. And while the flurry of IPO activity signals strength in the public markets, some analysts fear the cup may runneth over, and that sky-high valuations could be a sign of frothiness in the market. So is the surge of IPOs a bubble waiting to burst? And what fireworks can investors expect as more big names go public in the new year? I'm Alexis Garcia, and today we'll explore the IPO boom and more on this episode of Growth Stories. Rivian is just one of a number of high-profile, multi-billion-dollar offerings that have generated buzz among investors this year. In March, the video game platform Roblox hit a valuation of roughly $40 billion after going public. And then in April, Coinbase made a splash with its direct listing. The cryptocurrency exchange platform quickly hit a valuation of $85 billion. The number of today's supersized IPO and SPAC deals dwarfs the debuts of some of the market's biggest winners. Tech giant Amazon was valued at only $333 million in its 1997 IPO, and Elon Musk's Tesla netted $1.3 billion when it made its NASDAQ premiere in 2010.
What we're seeing in the IPO market right now is unlike anything we have ever seen before.
That's Investors Business Daily reporter Brian Deagon, who's been closely following the booming IPO market. Year to date, there have been about 907 companies that have gone public through IPO or SPAC deals. That's more than double what we saw in 2020. The previous record for IPOs in a single year was set all the way back in 2000 amid the dot-com bubble.
And there was a lot of technology companies in the late 90s that were just exploding onto the market. So you had this surge in IPOs dating back to 2000, and what we're seeing today actually makes that pale in comparison.
Brian says the COVID lockdowns have been a major contributor to the record-setting surge of IPO activity this year.
And that occurred right at a time when it was anticipated a lot of IPOs were going to be coming to market, and then all of a sudden, boom, the door gets closed. So by the time the door opened again, there was this big backlog, and the traditional IPO market was having a very difficult time keeping up with it.
Another factor fanning the IPO swell is the tsunami of SPACs, which is a fancy acronym for Special Purpose Acquisition Companies. The SPAC craze blasted off in 2019 with the highly successful offerings of spaceflight company Virgin Galactic and the sports betting platform DraftKings.
People saw that happen, they were successful, the stocks did well, and other people said, hey, well, why don't we jump on board that? And so SPAC was a pressure relief valve for all these backed up IPOs.
Coming up, we'll discuss if the IPO boom will continue in the new year. Stay tuned.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to IBD Live.
We're here to help you make more money in the stock market. On IBD Live, we give you actionable trade ideas every day. We follow the entire trade, buying, holding, and selling. We've built an amazing community of investors. They're excited to join us every morning, and we're excited to talk with them and take on the market.
Sign up at investors.com/IBD Live.
So we've heard just how big the IPO boom has been this year. Driven by the COVID backlog and a record level of SPAC activity, nearly 1,000 companies have come to market in 2021, raising a total of $266 billion in proceeds. This record-setting pace has many investors wondering if the IPO wave can continue to roll in the new year. Brian says one bullish sign that could keep the IPO market humming is the high level of venture capital.
The good news is there is a whole lot of money sitting on the sidelines waiting to be invested. So according to the National Venture Capital Association, they say there's about $220 billion available to venture capital funds to be invested. That's at a record high, but that's not it alone. There's another group. These are the private equity firms, hedge funds, and various other non-traditional investment firms globally. They have as much as $350 billion. So you're like talking like a $500 billion that's out there potentially available.
While the busy IPO market is a sign of market strength, some analysts fear that the sky-high amounts being raised show a disconnect between valuations and fundamentals. Another factor that could spoil the IPO party is a weakened economy. Businesses are grappling with supply chain disruptions, worker shortages, and inflation is running at a 30-year high. All of these things could change investor behavior and affect the growth of potential market leaders.
We might see a slowdown because a lot of companies that were rushing out the door, they might have gotten through the crunch, so to speak. But here's the big question about what could cause this party to end. The IPO market follows the stock market. When the stock market is good, the IPO market is good, and the reverse is true. So we've been in this raging bull market for several years, and if we get to the point where, for whatever reason, it stalls and we have some kind of crunch, you'll see the IPO market window shut very quickly.
A very special thanks to our reporter, Brian Deagon. I'm your host, Alexis Garcia, and we'll see you next time.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching Investors Business Daily on YouTube. If you want to watch more videos, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a thing.